We're going to analyze the chapter 1 of Journey to the Center of the Earth, written by Jules Verne. Chapter 1 is a mere introduction. We have Alex, the protagonist, who is speaking in first person, describing Professor Lidenbrock, his uncle, an eccentric and egoistic wealthy mineralogist and polyglot. But even though the chapter 1 seems so empty, let's see how Verne develops it. Well, first and foremost, he started with a hook, keeping our attention. On the 23rd of May, 1863, my uncle, Professor Lidenbrock, rushed into his little house. Number 19, Königstrasse, one of the oldest streets in the oldest portion of the city of Hamburg. We have an action. Someone, a university professor, running home. So as a reader, we think, why professor is rushing home? But instead of explaining it, we have a dialogue about the dinner and then the description of the professor. The description of the professor will keep peace on the story, keeping the reader on the edge, waiting for the clear explanation of the verb rush into. But on the other hand, the reader will not be bored on the description that he will find, because Jules Verne used a vivid language. For example, instead of saying he's eccentric, he says, Otto Lidenbrock had no mischief in him. I willingly allow that, but alas, he very considerably changes as he grows older. At the end, he will be a most original character. So, he is using the rule show, don't tell. Don't use simple words, use complex sentences, very vivid language. After describing all the character, he just go on, and instead of saying that he was a wealthy man, he said, for example, here at the very end, he lived in his own little house in Königstrasse, and my uncle was tolerably well off for a German professor. Same thing, instead of saying that he is rich. And using this description, it comes back to the narration, using Alex as part of the description. The living context were his goddaughter and myself. As his nephew and orphan, I became his laboratory assistant. So we can see how he shifts from description to action. And he's coming back to the real question, so why Professor Lidenbrock rushed into the house, saying, in dealing with such a strange individual, he has already described it in the chapter 1, there was nothing for it but prompt obedience. I therefore rushed after him. And so we see that we have the end of the chapter 1 with a cliffhanger, because we are still waiting for why he's rushing. And Verne is keeping our attention fully. We are full in. So in the same chapter 1, we can see the greatness of Verne, who can move from the narration, the dialogue, the description, keeping our attention all the time.